Alrighty guys, we're back for Gruul Surprise, and this is a Foundation Standard Brew, and I'm Red Cat. Let's briefly go over the deck, then hop right into some Ranked. We're rocking 3 Calamity, Galloping Inferno as the main build around in here, along with Smuggler Surprise. Of course, it's a 1 mana instant speed with spree costs here for a +2. Mill 4 cards, you may put up to 2 creature and or land cards from among the milled cards into your hand. For the additional cost of +4 and a green, you may put up to 2 creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield, which is the main spree cost that we want to get to, so 6 total mana then. And then also for the additional cost of 1, you can have creatures you control with power 4 or greater gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, which honestly could come in handy. So Calamity here is a 6 mana 4/6 legendary creature with haste, and when it attacks while saddled, and the saddle is only 1, choose a non-legendary creature that saddled it this turn and create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of it. Sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next end step and then repeat this process once, which as we know could be absolutely deadly if you have ETB effects coming in. So we have a couple Overlord of the Boilerbilges as impending for just 2 and double red, so we got to do some rearranging for when we actually cast that instead of cheating it out with the surprise, right? A similar thing with the Trumpeting Carnosaur. It's a 6 mana 7/6 with trample. When it enters, discover 5. Okay. And then also for 2 and a red, you can of course discard this. It deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. And then unfortunately, more often than not, you're probably activating that bottom ability to have some spot removal, which we do not have a lot of packed in. We do have a little bit of burn though with a couple lightning strikes, and I'm opting for the lightning strike. This can be your burn of choice or removal of choice. It's entirely up to you. I just feel like this is one of those deck lists that really knows how to push excess damage through. There might be some games where you just need to hit the opponent's face with a lightning strike. That is especially true if you have Twinflame Tyrant on the board. 5 mana 3/5 with flying. If a source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals double that damage instead. Cool stuff, and that should totally stack if you have multiple of these on the board, so a great card to go ahead and copy with that Calamity. Other great cards to copy with the Calamity, Terror of the Peaks, that'll do the thing. Got a couple of those. Then we got a couple of Vaultborn Tyrants as well. Cool stuff. And we also have Meteor Golem here. It's a 7 mana 3/3. When this creature enters, destroy target non-land permanent an opponent controls. Cool stuff. What else at the beginning of the build? Well, we have a whole bunch of ramp packed in, all 4 Llanowar Elves. Okay. That's all I have to say about Llanowar Elves. It's just a very early ramp, could be very important. And then Clifftop Lookout also making the cut as a 4 of as well. Has a great ETB. It's a 1/2. It can totally saddle up the Calamity. If you see nothing else, then you'll still get a couple of those ETBs as well. And just grabbing any land off of the top of your library. You grab a land. Hold on, let me just read this real quick, right? So when it enters, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a land. So you're going to hit a land regardless with this, right? Then you put that card onto the battlefield tapped and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Yeah, I think that'll go a long way. Also rocking Loot, Exuberant Explorer. 3 mana, 1/4. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Interesting. Then for 4 and double green, you can tap this, look at the top 6 cards of your library, reveal a creature card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from among them, put it onto the battlefield, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You guys can see why I just have one of these in here. Like, that's not the main thing we're trying to do, but I also wanted to just try one in here anyways. You also don't want too many legendary creatures packed in when you're rocking a Calamity build, so... Oh, more ramp, guys. Solemn Simulacrum is a 4 mana 2/2. When it enters, you may search your library for a basic land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Also, when this creature dies, you may draw a card. So it's also kind of sort of another great one to copy with the Calamity too. Pretty much any creature in here isn't half bad copied with Calamity. The mana base, we have 24 land total, but with all this ramp, we should be fine and dandy. Commercial District making the cut as a 4 of. Just having some tapped land isn't going to hurt this build in particular, I don't think, especially when we also have all 4 Verge as well. So we really want this to be Gruul dual land, but it's only going to be a red source until we see a forest or a mountain or the Commercial District or Fabled Passage to go ahead and grab us a forest or a mountain. So yeah, all 4 Fabled Passage making the cut as well. Honorable mentions. Oh, buddy, I thought about pushing Pool. Yeah, not this time around. I think we'd want to go forward like Jund or something. That way we can actually utilize the push side of things. However, with all these ETBs, I could totally see a pool as a one of or something. Outcaster Trailblazer almost made the cut. Enduring Courage almost made the cut. Terror of Mount Develis almost made the cut. I kind of like this guy as a budget top end, something to keep your eye on, right? And then we have Galta almost made the cut. The other Galta almost made the cut. Cityscape Leveler I wanted to bring up because this specifically reads when you cast this spell. So yeah, we're just opting for Meteor Golem because it just has an ETB instead. So much better to copy with the Calamity, right? That's very noteworthy. And then Temple of the Abandoned, I guess, could be your tap land if that's what you have over the Surveil land. All right, guys, I do my damnedest to save the more in-depth discussion for the end of the video. Sometimes I fail. So look forward to that. In the meantime, let's go ahead and take this into some ranked and see how we do. All right, we'll see if we can get right into that first game. Of course we do. And what am I expecting from the build? I don't know. I don't know. I want to say it's going to be janky, but at the same time, bro, if we get to the point where we can actually play the Smuggler Surprise, oh, buddy, is it going to be explosive? And it's also going to be a lot of fun, too. So we go first. We're going to keep this. We're going to give it a shot. Could be pretty slow, but we have to be realistic with what we're playing with. A lot of the opening hands are going to be pretty slow. I don't think I'm ready to thin the deck list out yet, so we're just going to start with the Forest, and then we'll consider Fabled Passage on turn 2, depending on what we draw. It's another lookout. We should probably go ahead, grab a second red source based on what's in hand, but we'll have the Solemn Simulacrum to grab a second green source if we need it. Yeah, waiting for the draw based on what we had in hand made a lot of sense. We don't have a lot of 2-drops in here anyways. Looks like both the opponent and I are going very slowly, so let's see what we can get done with some of this ramp. We grab a Forest. Okay. Okay. 3 mana open. It's going to be an Overlord. I mean, it's kind of good news that they're not just passing it back, right? Because then we'd have to worry about counterspells, and counterspells are the worst, so... We do find our 5th if we want to get the Terror of the Peaks on the board, which actually is probably a little better than continuing to ramp for the turn, right? I think that's probably fine. We will grab a red source. Terror of the Peaks is our play for the turn, and I guess we could have swung before playing Terror of the Peaks, then played this main phase 2, but that's fine as well. See if Terror of the Peaks can survive the turn here. It's an Omniscience build, guys. Go for the Throat, hits the Terror. The mana off the top wouldn't be terrible, but honestly, yeah, anything's fine. So Overlord is pretty decent. I think we're just going to go... We're going to find the 6th mana. It's going to be a Forest. Gonna run out of basics in the build scene. Again, we probably should have swung before anything else here. And now we're in Sunfall range, which is pretty scary. So we're gonna want to try to pop off all in one turn, and we want to do our dandiest to get around counter spells. They already have Omniscience on the board, guys. Well, crap, huh? Free Invasion, grab an Overlord, mill. We're in danger, dude. Oh my goodness, free Virtue of Persistence, they pass it back. So Calamity's one thing, but we need something else on the board that we want to copy with Calamity. The question is, the second we pass it back, are they just going to have something that cleans up our board state anyways? I think we set up with the Overlord and try to win next turn, and I don't like the idea, but I mean, it's probably the best we got right now, right? Outside of that, we go Calamity, saddle up with Solemn Simulacrum. We would draw a couple. It would still be an all right swing. I think we just want to See, the drawing could lead us into the Smuggler surprise, though. Oh, tough decisions, man. And all right, let's see what their free card is. Hopefully they just played all the good stuff last time. Overlord. They're going to hit our Overlord. Yeah, so setting up didn't actually work because they stole our Terror of the Peaks. They go ahead and grab a Liliana. You know what we could see? Well, first of all, I think it's Clifftop Lookout. Okay. So -2 would have been better for us, right? Because then we could have drawn on the Simulacrum. Actually, they're giving us a chump here, which is huge news. They're going to have another free Liliana if they want. So we'll chump. See what we see. Because we want to see our Smuggler surprise for sure. Vaultborn Tyrant isn't terrible too, but until we see that 7th mana... They do go for the free Liliana, maybe the -2 this time to clean up the lookout. They still want us to discard, actually. They're at 11. And Meteor Golem helps us clean up the Omniscience. Tyrant lets us see a bit more. Terror of the Peaks can swing next turn. Anything we discard here that's a creature they can steal from us, so it's probably Lightning Strike, and I hope I don't regret that. Smuggler's surprise. Holy cow. What do we do? What do we do, guys? They still have plenty of blockers on the board. It's got to be the Tyrant copy, though, right? We get 2 of them, a whole bunch of card draw, forcing blocks. They get to reanimate whatever the heck they want, though. Maybe it's... Wait a minute. Wait a minute, guys. Meteor Golem can clean up those creatures, too. Well, that could have been bad. 1, 2, 3... Wait a minute, that's only 10 damage. That's why. If we do this, Meteor Golem will clean up Omniscience, 2 of their creatures. They get 1 creature back with Virtue. I'm sorry, I'm thinking, buddy. How do 4 cards give us so many options? Oh, we do have 11. Clifftop Lookout survived the turn. Holy cow, dude. I gotta learn to count. All right. Terror of the Peaks, get out of here. And then saddle on up Meteor Golem. We full swing at opponent's face. Meteor Golem comes in at opponent's face, clean up Overlord, clean up Omniscience. And that should be 11 getting through. There we go, guys. All right. Very explosive. Smuggler surprise was essential there. Man, I'd say we got a little lucky, honestly. But that was also a beautiful showcase of everything the deck list was trying to do. And it did it very, very well, I would say. The -2 on the Liliana would have saved the opponent for that turn. That being said, I think we also would have been safe from the turn if they went -2 and we didn't have lethal on the board. Something else too, guys. Something else. If they had cards in hand still, we would have started by popping the Omniscience. Would have started with that instead of the order that I did things in. Yeah, the first Meteor Golem would have popped this, but they didn't have any cards in hand, so... Anyways, if they didn't know we were about to get 11 through, then -2 on the Clifftop Lookout would have meant that we wouldn't have had lethal for the turn. It would have probably been Vaultborn Tyrant, because we would have gained a bunch of life and restocked our hand. And then hopefully at that point, by forcing blocks with what they had here, would have passed back to them. They would have brought something important back with the Virtue. Hopefully we would have just had enough life to survive another turn with another Calamity swing. Cool stuff, man. Very, very cool stuff. All right, let's hop into the next one, huh? Yeah, I can't complain at all about that one being the first game. And then that's a good reason, if you have Smuggler's Surprise in your opening hand, any top end you end up drawing into, all of a sudden, here's one where it's in our opener. We also have some top end, only 2 land though. Once we see our 3rd, we're good to go. We have a Surveil too. I say we try it. We're going to be thinning the deck, though, with this Fable, but we're starting with the Surveil, keep any land we see on top, and then go from there. If it's not land, we probably send it. Oh. I guess we keep Llanowar Elves, though, right? Well, it probably doesn't survive, though, but it's something. If it does survive, we have Lookout. I don't know if I want to thin the deck list. See what they do here. Well, we're going to have to thin the deck list because we won't have 4 mana on the board. I don't know about this Llanowar Elves, guys. I don't think it's going to survive. So thinning the deck list here is terrible. We didn't want to risk the block, though, in case they missed it. We have to thin. We have to grab it, right? Because we want our turn 3. That's tough decisions, man. Already have 2 poison now. We find our 3rd, all right. Woo! I was sweating. We find another mountain, okay. And at least the Lookout trades into the Skull Dweller well enough. It does not, actually. We're 3 poison, 4 poison from the swing. The life gain. Do we actually just go Overlord to pop this Skull Dweller? Probably not, since we saw the Llanowar Elves. We start with some ramp, see what land we see. Could be Surveil. And then we'll play the Llanowar Elves. Another mountain isn't terrible. At least we already have the double green here. We're just kind of giving them fuel by playing creatures, though, right? Yeah, here they go. Another Drown and Ichor, giving them fuel for their proliferates. We could say Llanowar Elves is our 6th, and then Smuggler Surprise, or we could go up to 6 poison. Either one, I guess. Let's go up to 6 poison, because we want to do the thing. And it's going to do it pretty well, I would say. All right. 2 creatures onto the battlefield. Boom. Look at that. Woo. If only we were worried about our life total instead of the poison counters, huh? At that point, we'd probably just ping the 1/1, get that off the board, because the Death Touch would just trade into one of our creatures anyways. Lightning Strike probably would have been pretty good. Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening here. Both of these creatures should be a big threat for them. They go Anoint with Affliction. They exile our Overlord so that we don't get any extra pings that way. Probably just swing with the Vaultborn Tyrant then and play a couple things this turn. I guess we'll start with Lookout and then go into Loot. And Loot could also help us find some chunky creatures off the top, since we have 6 land on the board now. Anoint with Affliction. They exile the other Vaultborn Tyrant, guys. That's brutal stuff. At that point, we might as well go for this, huh? Let's see what we find. See what we find. Top 6 cards. Wow, look at all that. Trumpeting Carnosaur, right? See what we discover. 5. Simulacrum, okay. Grab a green source. Cool. Opponent's down to 12. They need some mana. They find some mana. At any point, they could pop off. They go for card draw down to 11. This might be the last turn, guys. They still need to somehow find 4 poison through, and we have quite the board state right now. They find some removal for the Carnosaur. They go Drown and Ichor on the Loot since Carnosaur was going to stick around anyways. It looks like we have 11 on the board, but Twinflame Tyrant, that's a draw and a half, huh? Let's get that swing. GG opponent. And we still had 2 mana open for the Lightning Strike in hand too. Wow. Okay. So we had 11 on the board times 2, so 22, and then extra 6 damage in hand if we needed it. That was a cool draw. Not like we needed it there, but still, it's a cool draw. All right, guys, let's keep the ball rolling. Gruul Surprise. Really going for just the all-in-one turn explosive damage. Good ramp so far. The ramp feels pretty decent. That being said, the 24 mana could probably be 25. At the same time, you'll probably flood more than you want then. Look, 25 isn't that much different than 24. Except in a deck list that's really just, I don't know, it feels like it's ramping well, but see, here's a hand where we just kind of need 3. If we don't see 3, and the opponent goes first too, so maybe we should mulligan. Ooh. It got worse, but at least we have Smuggler Surprise, which I guess we only want one of those. And Surveil could also help us keep a land on top too, so I guess that's something. So also, something to be said about 25 mana is the fact that we are thinning the deck list with a lot of this. Nice. A lot of this ramp is thinning. Mana on Lookout, mana on Simulacrum, Fabled Passage also thins the deck list, but we'll see what we end up doing. Surprise on double Terror of the Peaks is great and all, but our turn 5 might just look like playing out the Terror of Peaks anyways. We'll see. Or not our turn 5, but once we have our 5th mana. They do just go for the swing on the Mishra's Foundry, which is a fine turn. But now we don't have to worry too much, I would say. We're going into our 4th mana off the Lookout. Grab a Surveil land. Llanowar Elves. I'm going to send it. I'm looking for more of that top end for when the surprise comes, right? Of course, Llanowar Elves would have been great early, but against Mono Black, cut down hits. And cut down hits pretty well, I would say.
No more distractions.
Sacrifice a creature. That's good, because now they don't have the sacrifice a creature for this turn. We will play the Terror of the Peaks and see if it can stick around, or we can wait. We can play Simulacrum, or Solemn Simulacrum. Thin the deck list further, go Smuggler Surprise for double Terror of the Peaks at the end of their turn if we keep 1 mana in hand to discard to the plus on the Liliana. Alright, we're trying to think ahead here a little bit, and I'm going to get greedy with it this game, guys, because the deck list has been performing pretty well. A cut down on that is not bad at all. Get some card draw. And thin the deck list. We'll grab a forest based on what we have here. We'll probably end up discarding the mountain that's in hand to the Liliana. Yeah, any more of our top end would be pretty good, man. And so if we would have just played Terror for the turn, it would have missed the cut down, obviously, but passing it back to their turn. Oh, Deep Cavern Bat just threw away the whole thing, man. Oh, no. Smuggler's Surprise or the Terror of the Peaks would be totally fine here. But it's probably Smuggler's Surprise because any top end... Oh, all right. Well, we desperately want to see a top end creature then so we can pop off with that Terror. Discard the mountain.
I'm tired of your secrets.
That's great news keeping the Smuggler's Surprise, but what's the actual odds of seeing a top end? Pretty good, huh? I'll take it, dude. Maybe they weren't... Well... Yeah, holy cow, dude. Okay, well, I want to get everything out of my hand this turn anyways. And we're doing it on our turn because I don't want that to happen again. What? Deadly Cover-Up? We wait for their turn. The only thing that's going to happen is on the stack of them going plus on the Liliana. We have 7 mana. We might as well go for Hexproof Indestructible too. We might as well. I'm doing it now because we don't want them to draw. That's the only thing that's going to happen, right? We'd still have to play Surprise on top of the stack of the Liliana, which will still get the... Yeah, they just have more untapped sources. Man, this is a lot of damage, huh? At that point, I guess we start with the target there. We're going to choose to take out everything on their board rather than their life total. Sheoldred's Edict is huge for them. I'm going to keep the Terror of the Peaks around, of course. Yeah, I don't think we wanted to wait for their turn. I just don't. We get Terror of the Peaks back to hand. We'll see what they end up doing. I think this is looking great for the opponent, guys. I do. Even though, like, we have so many great... Like, Sheoldred's Edict got around the Indestructible and the Hexproof. And then on the turn where we didn't have it, they had to go for the throat. They're swinging for 2. Yeah, dude. Wow, Trumpeting Carnosaur. Hi. We'll have 2 mana open. Terror of the Peaks is probably a better play. Unless they play another Liliana next turn. But if they do, they probably just go -2. We set up with Terror of the Peaks in hopes that we can just play Carnosaur and pop off with the Terror. Guys, dude, we're in so much trouble right now. This Carnosaur has to hit something great. Because if it's just... Ooh, another Carnosaur. Okay, maybe we're not in trouble. Llanowar Elves. So at least if they have another Sheoldred's Edict, we have a sacrifice target. Seeing the other Carnosaur is so huge here, man. One of the reasons I figured it's looking pretty good for the opponent is Mono Black just playing way too much spot removal, and right now we're just top decking, which means just seeing... Oh, no! Okay, that's deadly cover-up that they're hitting the Carnosaur with. So we lose our hand. We have to still draw into something terrific here. That's brutal, man. That's one of those moments where if you're not laughing about it, you're going to be crying about it instead. Oh, hold up. What did they take? Oh, they took Terror of the Peaks. Oh, we got lucky, dude. That's what ended up just happening there. We got lucky that they did not take Carnosaur. Because again, we just really want to hit multiple things. Okay, Lookout. I mean, we're ripping land out of the list, so we have better chances of just seeing our top end and just seeing things that are important. Deep Cavern Bat, nice. It's a cut down. Now we might be okay for a couple turns as the opponent is top decking as well. Fabled Passage is kind of terrible, but I guess more deck thinning. Yeah, any land. Surveil land would have been much better, right? So that way we could try to fix the randomness on top. But this also helps us fix a little bit. All right, opponent, if you top deck some spot removal, I think it's leaning back in your favor. They got power up Foundry. Full swing means they don't plan on blocking with the Deep Cavern Bat. We have trample anyways, so they're just opting for the lifelink here. More mana. That's not good, guys. We do get the 7 through. What are the odds that they find removal for our Carnosaur? I mean, we play this anyways, though, right? Just in case they have more discard or something, but... So we're at 11. They can power up Foundry. There's mana over here. GG, opponent! All right, guys. Holy cow. There were so many back and forth moments in this one where it's like, wow, that's really good for us, and wow, that is not really good for us. Just back and forth, back and forth. I'm sticking by what I said earlier. Instead of saving Smuggler's Surprise for like the end of their turn, because I think a big thing that was going to happen, they're just going to plus Liliana. We only had 3 cards remaining. Wait. Did I have a chance of saving mana in that hand to discard to the Liliana anyways? We could have potentially done that. But then if they... That might be a turn to look at again if I had mana that turn. Because I forget if I just snap played the mana real quick early on in that turn, or if I already had the mana on the board and that wasn't the option that we were looking for. Yeah, because one of the big things about Smuggler's Surprise, of course, is the fact that it's instant speed. So being able to keep it open for the opponent, or at the end of the opponent's turn or something, which of course you don't want to do if you have Calamity because it has haste. You want to pop off all on your turn. We actually go first, but this is a terrible hand. I'll tell you what, the deck list has been doing so well. Let's keep it and try it. Let's see what we can draw. We have Surveil here early too. So I think this is usually a mulligan. Outside of anything, like outside of just testing the deck list and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure this is a mulligan. We have our turn 4 Overlord. That's the earliest thing so far, since we found the 4th mana off the district here. Going first is at least pretty good. With a slow hand like this, of course. Mishra's Foundry again. Are we back to the Foundry days? I'm okay with that. Essence Channeler. Wow, there we go. Early ramp is huge. We find another Verge. Cool. So with Channeler and just Plains over there, when you see Channeler, you're like, oh, it's a bat build, right? But it might just be life gain, which I wouldn't mind seeing. That would be pretty cool. Johnny's Pride Mate. Okay. Some life gain with this. I'll take the trade if it's offered to us. They might have some combat trick. Totally fine. Let's see what happens. It was, in fact, not a combat trick. Wow. 5th mana, Twinflame Tyrant. Now, at this stage in the game, guys, we have to be concerned about a Sheltered by Ghosts. Ossification also hits, but the good news is Sheltered by Ghosts, of course, gives a lifelink and the ward would be pretty hard to get around. At 6 mana, guys, we're just going to fully play out Overlord. We're going to pop the Pride Mate. We'll see if we can copy that Overlord with Calamity. I mean, we're able to clean up some powerful creatures early on here. Get Lost, okie dokies. Channeler. We do find our 7th, which honestly, Meteor Golem over Vaultborn Tyrant, probably. Yeah, keeping... Oh, you know what we could do? I'm okay with taking care of this ossification while we have that option, because then copying the Twinflame Tyrant with Calamity, it's probably much better than just taking the Essence Channeler here. Right, so Calamity, copy Twinflame Tyrant. I'll try the block. I'll try it, because if they waste any mana on the Channeler... Oh! We're calling the opponent's bluff, and that must be a devastating feeling. Oh, it's a split up anyways. That makes sense. That does. Overlord again. Man. Okay. Wow. Now it's Vaultborn Tyrant, because we start drawing, gaining life. All of that should be terrible for the opponent. Smuggler's Surprise. Oh my goodness, dude. Ossification. They got a lot of removal packed in. But we have a really good turn next turn with this Smuggler's Surprise. Solemn Simulacrum. But we'll do you and Hexproof Indestructible to get around a Get Lost, right? If they had blue over there, I'd be pretty scared of a counterspell. Alright. They need some removal for the ones that don't have hexproof for the turn. Even so, we're getting the ETBs as well. So they need spot removal for a 5/5. We have 8 going through, then another 9, so 17 total damage. They would have needed 2 pieces of spot removal on that turn. Holy cow, guys. I mean, first of all, we had some pretty good blocks in that one and some pretty good, like, overall turns, but the opponent was also removing every big thing that we played, and they were removing it very well, too. So we're about 34 minutes in. Let's go one more. One more. Feels great so far. Having a good time. These type of deck lists are so much fun, guys. Just explosive builds like this. Just a lot of fun. Guys, while I have you here, I forget if I brought this up already in this video for some reason, but make sure you check out that description where we do have that Discord link as well as that Patreon link too. If you're interested in joining either of those up or supporting the channel that way. I'm going to give this a shot. We got some early removal with Lightning Strike. And I'll probably end up grabbing a green source on turn 3 with Fabled Passage, depending on what we see here. And then also, guys, while we're talking about all that YouTube nonsense, if you like the video, make sure you actually drop it a like. And if you enjoy the channel, then consider subscribing as well. Really does help out the channel. So thank you, guys. Okay, back to the match. Twinflame, totally fine here. We will have Lightning Strike for a Lore Keeper, which I guess we want to do now, because if they ramp into big old chunky... Oh, man, I don't know if... Yeah, we do it now, I guess. If they ramp into big old chunky dinos on their turn 2, we don't have great removal for it. Except for Meteor Golem, I guess, but... Okay, Fabled Passage will grab us a green source, and that'll be our 4th for the Simulacrum. We also could have done it a mountain, but I do want to thin the deck list right now. There's the Hammer Skull that I was fearing on turn 2. So the Lightning Strike really coming in handy. Nice Smuggler Surprise. It's a good hand. It's a really good hand, guys. Grab another green source is fine. Yeah, good chump blocker with Simulacrum, and if we see our 6th, we're looking pretty good, man. But we'll see, Because Dinos knows what's up. They also know how to be super explosive. So actually, Ward 2 on the Hulking Raptor is terrific for them. We do find our 6th. Meteor Golem can come down with Twinflame Tyrant and set up for the Carnosaur next turn, or we can go Twinflame into Carnosaur. Probably Meteor Golem, though, to make sure we can clean up the Hammer Skull. Well, maybe we wait for the end of their turn. Right? Like I was saying, this is instant speed, so... Alright. If they were playing blue, I would never even consider it, but... We'll see what happens. And we couldn't have cleaned up the Hulking Raptor anyways, so they were going to get this ramp regardless. Oh, Vaultborn Tyrant is rough business, dude. Okay. That's pretty gross. It's probably Twinflame and Trumpeting Carnosaur. That way we can find as much as possible here. And Trumpeting Carnosaur blocks the Hulking Raptor really well. So let's do that. Especially since they're tapped out here. Yeah, tough decisions. Let's see what we see on the Carnosaur. Ooh, Terror of the Peaks. Yes, holy cow. We can block here successfully. All right, we find our 7th. That is gross, huh? So we're going to be... I guess we could pop the Tyrant. We go face. Pop the Tyrant. They get the token, which gains them another 3 card draw. But that's something, right? That's... something? Or forcing a block on the ground. They actually just accept their fate here, guys. Well... Yeah, forcing a block on the ground. We were going to get some trample through. It was still worth... Hold on. Still worth popping the Vaultborn Tyrant with the Meteor Golem, right? They gained that 3. They took 6 from the Terror of the Peaks because Twinflame Tyrant was on the board. Then the 8 in the air was going through regardless, which was going to be 16 in the air thanks to the Tyrant ability. If they chumped here... It would have been 1 trample getting through. The trade would have happened. Okay. The 1 trample would have been 2 trample, would have passed back to them with Hammerskull and Meteor Golem able to chump block. But honestly, so they would have survived the turn if they blocked the Carnosaur, and I think it would have been worthwhile to try to survive that turn, right? We just don't know what was actually in the opponent's hand, so we can't really say. Holy cow, guys. I mean, the deck list totally did the thing. We actually got to see the instant speed side of it, too. We're going to end on a high note. We are. Yeah. That was good. I liked this, man. This was a lot of fun, and it felt pretty good, too. Guys, watch out. Foundations has a lot of reprints. When I put this up at the bottom of the video, or in the description, right, when I put the deck list up, I'm not going to trade out these simulacrums for the newest version. I'm just going to put whatever I was actually playing in the deck list. I've been trying to bring that up as much as possible. Keep an eye on your collection, if that's not already obvious, right? Just in case, like, maybe you didn't know Foundations had so many reprints. Well, it definitely does. And see, I actually had all 4 of these from an older set, M21, actually. I don't remember playing with this back in the day, but I had all 4 of them. So, of course, I didn't want to craft any of the newer versions. So keep your eye on that if we go up here and look up the... how the heck do you spell simulacrum? There we go. We go up here and take a look-see. Gotta go to not collected too so you can see them. Look at all those different versions. Oh my goodness. Solemn Simulacrum looks like that's from the Fallout set. M21, M21, those are just different. There's the new one from Foundations, or I guess that's an art style for it. So here's the new one from Foundations, guys. Just keep an eye on your collection, because you have to, like, actually go and seek it out. So yeah. Anyways, enough rambling about that. The deck list. Smuggler's Surprise has been fun since it came out. This was awesome, dude. Twinflame Tyrant is such a cool addition. There's some things to note here, though. Power's only 3, which means it doesn't work with the entering ability on Vaultborn Tyrant. Does that really matter, though? Does that matter? See, if you had, like, a couple more Terror of the Peaks, I guess you could do that, because at the very least that works with the Trumpeting Carnosaur. But there's things that Terror of the Peaks can't do that Twinflame Tyrant can do. For example, if you don't actually have creatures entering that turn or something, and you still have Tyrant on the board, then you're still pushing through that excess damage. Also working well with our other burn in here, like Lightning Strike and stuff too. Also working well with Overlord's extra burn when you're swinging too. When you're swinging with that, 4 damage to any target will get doubled from the Tyrant too. So, like, the 2 and 2 actually makes a lot of sense, and just adding more variety to this top end makes a lot of sense as well. Carnosaur not actually acting as removal today was surprising, but just being a beast of a creature when it enters. Discover 5, being able to hit Terror or Twinflame is great, fine and dandy, but then also, you're not going to be mad if you discover a Lightning Strike, right? You clean up a small chump blocker that the opponent has, or just hit the opponent's face. Again, maybe you got that Twinflame Tyrant on the board all of a sudden at 6 damage. You're also not going to be mad if you discover a Solemn Simulacrum either. This seems like a solid creature with a solid ETB where you're ramping really well, but then also the death trigger works really well too. Not only is it an excellent chump blocker, but it's also going to die if you end up saddling it up. Saddle up the Simulacrum to the Calamity, swing with a couple of them, thin out your deck list, ramp even further, then you sacrifice both of them at the end. You're drawing 2 off of that. Kind of gross, honestly. Meteor Golem was great on the top end too. It was just not that difficult to get to 7 mana in here, which is something else, man. Very, very fun ramp list, guys. I would keep the 24 mana, although, again, while I was playing those matches, I said I could also see 25 mana easily. Easily. You know, we're thinning with the Fable. Here's another one, right? This wasn't a reprint from Foundations, but this was a reprint from Bloomburrow, and pretty much every time I played with Fabled Passage since the Bloomburrow set, I kept bringing up, like, oh, watch out for the reprints and stuff. But then once the Duskmourn came out, I said I was going to stop bringing up the Fabled Passage because it was just it's getting to be a lot of repeating myself in every other video, because Fabled Passage is a pretty darn good land and I play with it all the time. But yeah, I don't think I have any of the Bloomburrow Fabled Passage, and this is just an older version. Again, keep an eye on your collection, guys. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, right? Calamity on the top end as a 3 of, just being the main build around with the Smuggler Surprise makes a lot of sense here, I would say. And then also Overlord of the Boilerbilges. Did we play the impending cost on this? I don't even think we had to because we just ramped so freaking well, huh? I think the 4 Llanowar Elves still makes a lot of sense here, guys, because even if you are playing it turn 1 and the opponent kills it regardless, sometimes they use a 2-mana removal spell on a Llanowar Elves just out of fear of you ramping into your 3rd on turn 2. In this case, of course, they went first, right? But if they use removal on a Llanowar Elves, you're just going to have bigger, chunkier things later on that their go for the throat isn't going to hit. So, yeah. Cool, man. I like this one a lot. I don't like how I rearranged it. There it is. Guys, what does your Smuggler Surprise deck list look like? Does it look similar to this? Let me know in the comments. Maybe yours doesn't lean as heavy into Calamity. That way you can have more legendary creatures packed in. Oh, Loot even did the thing today, guys. We even got to use that bottom ability, and I think that's actually not going to be too hard. The matches that we saw, we had so much mana on the board at any given time. I'll tell you what, keep your eye on future ramp deck lists where we have Llanowar Elves, Lookout, and Simulacrum. Just as a 4 of each of those, seems like a pretty solid setup for ramp, and then you can even have more ramp and maybe crazier top end, and of course at that point it doesn't have to be Gruul either. Neat stuff. I really can't stop saying great things about this. Really liked it. Verge was always going to be just powerful Gruul land in this deck list. District, Forest, Mountain, Fable grabbing either Forest or Mountain. Lookout and Simulacrum grabbing either Forest or Mountain. The only time Verge was going to be bad is if we only saw Verge. And that's not going to happen very often. And if you do, if like your opening hand is triple Verge, you're probably going to need to mulligan, right? So, yeah, that's not going to happen very often though. Guys, if you made it this far into the video for real, y'all are champions. I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I enjoyed it. I don't remember if we lost any today. This is another one of those instances too, where when we have 100% win rate videos, it's so rare that I'm just like, I second guess it at the end. Even though I remember the matches, I'm just like, wait a minute, did we actually pull that off or not? So I'll have to go back and watch the end of the games to see. But all right, guys, hey, enough rambling, huh? Oh, first of all, if you made it this far, y'all are champions. And I will see you in the next video.